Hello and welcome back. One of the advantages with my channel is I can get away with saying what really a lot of people can't. It's a unique position to be in when nobody watches your channel because I can put something out there and I don't have to worry about YouTube caring about what I say as long as I don't break any laws. So I can say the truth of what I can't say on my other channel, what I can't say as a social critique. And that's really what I plan on doing in this video, talking about something that I read. I'm not going to make this a reaction channel, because quite frankly, I don't like that. I don't like the idea of reacting to somebody else's opinion when I have my own. For better or worse, whatever that may be, I will trust my own opinion above somebody else's after I have read whatever it is the topic is about. That's not saying that my opinion is better or worse, but it's mine. And in a world where increasingly more and more of what we consider our own is being taken away from us, at this point at least, our opinions are still ours, providing we can think for ourselves and actually focus on the actual real arguments presented. So let's get into it. If you've watched my other channel, you know that the Asafika genre short story approach talks about critiquing modern day society in a very specific way. That is specifically asking the question whether or not we even have a future. Modern world news really makes me question that in a lot of ways. So let's start this video by talking about the global literacy rate and how far down the United States and many Western countries have actually fallen. Right now, the global literacy rate is roughly around the age of 12 to 14. That is 6th to 8th grade, roughly speaking. The United States has research showing that it might be as low as 8. Think about that. The literacy rate on average of the entire country could be as low as an 8-year-old. In fact, most recent statistics show clearly that the United States educational system is graduating adults where 31% cannot read. How is that even possible? Is probably one of the first questions we can ask. But it becomes clearly evident when you watch on the nightly news people preaching that mathematics is racism or reading is racism. We have become so ideologically invested in failure that we have baked it into our own educational system. We have become so much a part of the age of decadence within our current society that it now actively seeks to destroy itself. And we have 400 collapsed societies that show clearly the same patterns we are following, whether it is moving away from the communal support to individualism or shifting towards the ideology of self over the community in terms of childbearing, fertility, so forth. The change, the division, the hatred that has been spread is a clear developing sign of that collapse. A community, a society that is growing builds cohesion, togetherness, oneness. But our society has been us versus them for decades. And the biggest purveyors have been the politicians themselves. We always have to have a war on something. A war against drugs, a war against poverty, a war against the rich. Whatever it is, there's always got to be some kind of division. For example, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, the millennials. Always got to be us versus them. Because if we ever united to one people, simply looking to build a better tomorrow, the people that profit the most from this hatred, the politicians, will quickly be dealt with. And that is the problem we see in our society. The people who run the government, the people who make the laws, they have the most to gain by deliberately dividing and the most to lose if we ever unite. The most recent has been left versus right, but it doesn't matter what title you give it or how you see anything other than us versus them. Even with the immigration, we have to bring outsiders in, somebody to divide, somebody to take, because they have to create that illegality of value any way they can. Even when you look at every country on the planet, we have to find some way of division where the rest of the world has already solved that problem. We have to create a crisis from it so we can divide more people, so we can find more ways to be taxed, so they can profit more while they continue to destroy. Our society is at that point. We are failing as a culture and a society. And I say we specifically as the West, because the rest of the world, what we like to call third world nations, another wonderful way of dividing. They're succeeding, they're prospering, they're building, while we destroy, while Western societies destroy themselves. The people that don't follow this toxic ideology and twisted mentality that has been established through dark academia are clearly doing well. And we know this through global statistics called the fertility rate. It measures countries and how well they are doing population-wise. These numbers matter because it shows us who is the closest for cultural extinction. Cultural extinction, or what some like to call the replacement conspiracy, well, it's not a conspiracy unless you deliberately go out of your way to destroy your own country. And that is what our politicians are doing. Deliberately and maliciously and intentfully acting in a way against the nation itself. We know through history, we have seen countless examples of exactly where this behavior leads. Every case has always been extinction, collapse, ruin. The very things that we've built, the very things our ancestors died for, so that we could have better life, better medicine, better care, safer world, has been destroyed through greed, lust, evil, and selfish politicians that don't care about anybody but themselves. Their actions speak louder than anything they could say. You can look at Washington State, New York State, California, Oregon, countless of examples just in the United States, and see the deliberate, malicious, and intentful destruction caused by politicians. And I have talked about this a lot before and other topics on my Ancestral Social Critique channel. But it needs to be said. Math is not racist. Reading is not racist. There is no reason to go out of our way to divide our culture into so many different boxes, except for the politicians, the elites, wanting to keep the hatred going. Because all they have is hatred, and it makes them very rich. We see that every day of our culture, every day of our society, and it's a problem. It's a problem that I don't know that we can fix because it's so baked into everything that we now have. We can't even discuss a topic without some kind of a racial slur. We've lost the ability to even communicate as a civilized people because of the amount of hatred, indoctrination, and brainwashing that has been put into our culture for at least the last 50 to 60 years. We are on the precipice of oblivion as a culture, at a time where we should be uniting because of whatever changes our world is going through. Droughts, famines, weather that is destroying food production. We are being divided more and more, pitted against each other in a way that is not only detrimental, but deliberately destructive. And that really is the point of this entire discussion. Nothing going on in government is by accident. It's chosen, it's coordinated, it's malicious. And we see that through everything we do. We see that through our entire society. How we fix it is a question I can't answer because I don't know. I have a few ideas, things I think that would make it at least a step in the right direction, such as disallowing politicians to grow old in office, treating their congressional seats as retirement homes, I think would go a long way to at least moving the country into a stable platform of being able to rotate politicians enough to bring in new ideas and to get rid of old ideas that we know doesn't work. The reason why the United States president can only sit for 2 terms is because fear of power, fear of control. But how much worse is it when one person has held a seat for 40 or 50 years in the same office? How much worse is their corruption? That is the exact problem the United States has with its own Congress, with its own state legislatures. We limit the president, we limit the governor, but we don't limit the elected people that hold the real power, that hold the purse. Congress, city councils, county commissioners. They can literally treat government as a retirement home, and many of them do. That's a problem we need to address if our society is going to survive, if our country is going to survive. We need to look at what does work worldwide versus what we clearly see doesn't work. But most importantly, any politician that deliberately and maliciously tries to sow hatred needs to be voted out. And right now, we have a lot of them. Share your thoughts, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it useful. I don't expect this channel is ever going to blow up, but it would be nice if we can at least get some dialogue going again in our world and move past the idiocracy that we now have. Thank you for watching.